Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ian Brown, owner of G&G Wealth Strategies. And this podcast is on how everything that pertains to wealth for military dads. Military dads, if you're making good money, but you still feel financially behind, then this is the episode for you. Because there's a special kind of frustration that hits when the paycheck is looking solid, but your bank account still feels tight. You feel that pressure. You know, you've been serving, you've been leading, you've been providing for your family. You got steady income, you got all these allowances, benefits, retirement options, opportunities. Most people do not have, but somehow at the end of the month, it still feels like you may be asking yourself, like, well, where did all my money go? And here's what I want you to hear today. It has nothing to do with when we have money just leaking. Has nothing to do with us being lazy. You're not failing your family. You're not broke because you don't have any money. Your income is not the problem. It's the planning that's the problem. Your money needs a mission. So welcome to Wealth for Military Dads. This podcast for active duty, transitioning, and retired military dads who make good money but are tired of feeling behind. And y'all want to build wealth, protect your family, create more freedom. And I help you do that with a step-by-step plan. So, of course, I'm definitely not here to shame anybody because everything that I'm going to talk about in this podcast or just throughout these series are things that I've done myself. I was the guy that literally got out of debt, and to celebrate getting out of debt, I went and put myself in more debt by, splurging on different things. So I'm not the type of money person that has done it correctly my entire life. No, I'm the person that did it the opposite and still came out of it with help and guidance of others. And so that's why I want to help spread that knowledge. Because we're definitely like when someone tells you, don't ever eat out again or stop buying your kids things, live like your family's in punishment mode. A lot of people are not going to hold through on that. That's just how it is. Just be honest, But we're going to lead our money the same way that we have led others while we're in uniform. We're going to do it with structure. We're going to have some clarity. We're going to set some priorities, and you have to give each dollar a mission. So today we're going to talk about the sentence that a lot of us have been or are saying internally, but we don't say it out loud, is I make too much money. I make too much money to feel this stressed and feeling like I'm behind everybody. So let's unpack why that happens and what we're going to do about it. So a lot of us from the military, we, of course, our uniform, everything looks sharp. We got all the right words, etc. But inside of us, we may be, not good. We don't look good on the inside, even though we're good on the outside. And so the money is always moving. The question is it moving towards your family's future? And well, we got to find out. So, you got your money coming in. You got your housing allowance, you got your health coverage, you got your TSP, hopefully you're contributing. You got SGLI, you got steady paycheck. The credit cards are carrying a lot of balances, however, because military folks, you ever wonder why we have all these special deals for military? It's because credit card companies have done this not just to pay you for your hard-earned sacrifice and contribution to the country, but because they make money off you being in debt. So they offer you a lot of incentives. So that way you don't feel so bad when you get yourself in debt. And we say, I'm going to pay it off in full so I can get the points, etc. But the majority of us don't. And you don't see that fine print that says you're going to have like a 24 annual percentage rate, which basically means you're never going to pay off that credit card. The car payment is a little bit bigger than you wanted to admit. You got that new car, that Suburban, new van, the emergency fund's not where it should be. Your kids, of course, seem to need something every week. I know mine always have. I got 3. Excuse me. Food costs, of course, keep going up. Subscriptions, they're stacking quietly. You ever notice they got all these subscription bundles like This company will offer this, this, and that. And then when these companies split, they don't notify you. So now you're still paying that same price to that one company, and then the other companies, if you want access to them, and you got to pay more. So then they just keep stacking and stacking, and you're like, golly, I'm spending $100 a month on subscriptions for TV, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Peacock, freaking Voodoo, whatever the case it is, all this stuff, and knowing doggone well you're not watching all of them. At least I wasn't. So yeah, we should be furthering this. What we're thinking, and when you're thinking about how I should be far ahead, a lot of times shame will come in, and shame is not going to get us anywhere. We don't need to be shaming ourselves. We just need to learn from our mistakes and do better. But we can't do that without the education for it, and that's where I come in the mix, because I'm telling you, I've lived it. So every PCS can turn into a disaster, if you don't play that right. So here's the big idea for today. Every dollar has to have a mission, even if you never assigned it one. So money is always moving. And if you don't tell your money where to go, life is going to dictate it for you. Debt will take your money. Fast food, subscriptions, lifestyle creep, car upgrades, impulsive spending, emergencies will all take your money and assign it a mission. So each one of those categories I just listed pretty much is a mission in itself. Like we have to pay our bills, we have to do this, etc. And so that money has been taken by those missions. It is the mission of all those different types of companies to take your money and to keep you in debt, because that's how they make money. So all the billionaires, millionaires, they're making money by taking your money. So your money's not going to sit still waiting for you to lead. It's going to keep on moving. And that is why it's so important for us. We have to start leading. So, part 3, here we go. All right, here's the trap. This is a trap a lot of us fall into. We're highly disciplined at work. I'm a senior chief in the Coast Guard. I've been in 22 years. I've led different shops, different cutters at sectors, communication stations, etc. Lead all these different people, all these different dynamics, being on deployments for a year at a time, sometimes 6 months, etc. But at the same time, I remember being financially scattered at home, basically wondering how my family is surviving when I'm gone. And this does not happen because we don't care. It happens because we care so much. And so, for example, you want your wife and kids to feel taken care of. You want them to enjoy, different incentives from the military. You want to enjoy, after having a long day, crazy deployments and stress. You want to splurge, of course, and treat yourself. You want the family to have good memories to kind of make up for the sacrifices in the times that you're gone. You want your kids to have opportunities, better opportunities than you had when you were a kid, which is one of the reasons why a lot of us joined the military. And you want your wife to feel secure. So a lot of times the spending doesn't come from irresponsibility, but it comes from love without a plan. And that's important, because if we misdiagnose the problem, we're going to use the wrong solution. So the problem is us not being reckless. The problem is more than likely that we're not giving our money a chain of command, right? In the military, we have chain of command. We all know what that means, right? So same thing with your money. You got to assign it a chain of command. That, for example, investing and savings should be one of the top priorities. Debt should be lower. If you want to put it in a rank thing here, basically, let's look at it. I would say your life insurance, things like that, that's at the E9 level. E8 level would be, your thrift savings plan, investments. E7 would be your assets, like your house, which can be a liability. E6 is going to be, of course, taking care of your family, groceries, etc. Of course, you got to eat. At the E5 level, you got your recreation. E4 level and below, non-rate status, yeah, that should be where the debt's at. It should be the lowest priority, not paying it off, lowest priority in getting yourself into debt. It should not be even a consideration for a lot of us. And so when there's no order, everything's going to feel equally important. We've been there. We all had that supervisor who was a good idea fairy and always had every great intention of making things better, but made things worse. And they would overlap us with different priorities to where it'd be, unclear on which one was a priority. And eventually, if you're like me, you can be like, all right, listen, man, not everything can be a priority. Something's going to have to take the back seat, and then you'd work with them to kind of clarify, like, okay, these are like nice to haves, nice to do's. What do we got to do to just get across the finish line to the mission? And so you kind of create priorities. So same thing. You need to have an order of operations for your money. So we got to pay off our debt. We got to invest in TSP. We got to protect our family. We got to save for emergencies. We want to take vacations. We got to handle the vehicle. That's a lot of different things that we are juggling. And no wonder we get stressed out, because that's a lot. We still got to prepare for our transition, for getting out of the military, because one day you will get out. Either you're going to get out voluntarily or something's going to happen, unfortunately, and you're going to be forced out. So even that's not guaranteed how long you're going to stay in the military. So, and then we got to build wealth, and we got to enjoy life. And of course, I say one of the highest things, we got to serve God. So all that matters. But without a plan, it comes noise. I can't tell you, as someone who has PTSD, when I am not organized on how I'm doing things, my thoughts just ramble. It seems like noise, and it just causes me so much stress. So here's what it means for your money to have a mission. So when I say your money needs a mission, every dollar needs to be connected to different jobs, right? So number one is building wealth. That's the money that's going to move your family forward. That's investing, the saving, building assets, reducing your debt, creating margin. Basically, margin is surplus money, and preparing for the next season. Because as a dad, one of the things you may not think about, or you may, especially in the service, is that one day we will not be here. And we want to make sure that our kids and our wife and our family members are able to have a better life than they're having now. Yeah, that's pretty morbid to think about sometimes. But yeah, number two is we got to protect what matters. Just make sure our family's not financially exposed. You got to have good insurance, beneficiaries, emergency reserves. Get your estate organized. Make sure that if life changes overnight, your family has more than good intentions. And I can tell you, January 2024, I found out this lesson the hard way when my mom died, and we could talk about that some other time. But so I'm telling you, I'm still living that nightmare, and learned a lot of different things. Number three, we got to create freedom. This is the part that we a lot of times forget. Money is just not for bills and spreadsheets, but we got to create memories. We want to have different options. We want to have our time back. We want to be peaceful. We want a smooth transition, less stress at the house, and more choices for your family. So that is the mission right there. And that's what this podcast, and that's what my company is all about. Build wealth, protect assets, and create your freedom. And so when your money has those orders and that chain of command, you're going to stop asking, where to go? You start saying, here's where it's going, because now you know everywhere your money's going. So moving on, next topic. Why more income alone will not fix it. So let's talk about something that's definitely going to be uncomfortable. A lot of people think if I just make more money, it's going to be easier. And sometimes more income helps. And I can tell you, if you've been in the military a long time, like I have, each time we got a promotion, we made more money. Every time, Congress gave us, 1% or 2%, 3% raise yearly sometimes. Cool, we got more money. Every time that you had another additional, like you started at 4 years, then you did 6 years, 8 years, and you got that pay bump in your pay grade. Every time that happened, you also had more money, but notice your problems didn't go away. And so more money without that mission, of course, usually causes more expensive types of chaos. because you have the illusion, of course, and it's factual that you have more money, so you tend to spend more than you have. The car got nicer, the house got bigger, the trips got better, the restaurants started to become more frequent, subscriptions multiplied, the kids' activities expanded, and the debt gets easier to justify because the payment fits within your monthly income. That's what we call lifestyle creep. And lifestyle creep doesn't feel reckless while it's happening. It feels normal. It feels like you earn it. A lot of other people are doing it. It goes with that whole motto: we work hard, we deserve this, we play hard. Honestly, your family does, of course, deserve these good things. But your future also deserves your leadership. Your wife deserves security. Your kids deserve stability. Your transition deserves preparation. Your older self deserves options. Your legacy deserves protection. Say that because I look at the older self, right? When we retire, a lot of times we focus on retiring from the military, but we don't think about just life retirement. And the fact is, majority of people are either going to have a great and prosperous young adulthood into getting married, etc. But when they retire, they end up having a lesser quality of life a lot of times if they don't do things right. In the military, we kind of escape that because we get that 50% when we hit 20 years, depending on what pay grade you get. Depending on what pay grade you get, that determines how much money you need to make. So a lot of times you feel like, okay, I need to make $100,000 a year, but your disability gives you like $40,000, and then let's say like your regular pay gives you, $20,000, or sorry, the opposite. And then so you got $60,000 coming in. So now you only need a job that's got a $40,000 cap for salary. So that's a good example. But my whole point is, we want our lifestyle to continue to get better, not worse. And so there is a way that I'll teach you that you can do both. You can still have a good lifestyle, still make everything count, and then even have better lifestyle when you retire. So, like I said, it's about giving our money a mission before the world gives it for you. I'll give you a clear example. I am one that believes in tithing to my church, right? And I've always been like, oh, I'll do it later, do it later. And I look at it, 10%, right? 10% of probably like the 10K that I make a month would be $1,000 a month that I would give to the church, like that, right? And I didn't give. And all of a sudden, I'm changing a PVC on my wife's car, changing the air filter, changing the oil, doing the spark plugs. And what do? I end up leaning on some plastic piece, which I thought could just be soldered back together, or just buy that little piece. Come to find out, that was part of the intake manifold. Bam, that $1,000 that I have been trying to avoid tithing to the church, poof, gone in a matter of seconds. I had to cough it up no matter what because my wife needed her car. So I realized at that moment that, if I don't give the money, that doesn't mean the money's not going to be taken by life. But based on my beliefs, if I was giving her that, God's definitely going to make sure that I'm taken care of. And so it just helped me realize that my priorities were warped at the time. All right, so what are we going to do first? Here's our first step. We're not going to start with anything complicated. Don't start with complicated investing strategies. Don't start by comparing yourself to anybody. Don't start with shame. Start with awareness. Now that we're aware we have this problem, of course, we want to do something about it. So here's your first action step. I want you to pull up the last 30 days of spending and ask yourself just one question. Where did my money go? What mission did I give my money this whole month? So I want you to basically go look at your credit card statements, go look at your debit card statements. Hopefully you use one account to do all your bills so it's easy to keep track of, and just go look and see where your money's spent, and just tally it up. tally how much money you spent and tally the category. So like obviously if it's uh, food, put that in the food category and separate it from groceries to like restaurants, recreation, etc. And the reason why is we want to know where our money's going, because a lot of people, they always say, oh, I don't have enough money for that. I don't have enough money for that. More than likely you do, you're just spending it on the wrong thing. Um, and so we want to know how much money went to debt and how much went to food, eating out, vehicles, subscription, etc. You get the idea. And don't go too in the depth in evaluating this. I just want you to look and just have like a number. And then, because a lot of us, we don't need another motivational speech. We're already highly motivated, which is why you're listening to this podcast. You just need a clear financial map, and that's what we're going to create for you. And of course, that starts with us knowing where the money's going. So the next step, I want you to have a different way of thinking about this situation. So managing money is just not a financial skill. It's leadership. So you got to think about it. You are the head of your household. You are the leader of your household. So you need to start leading your house and finances, because finances affect pretty much everything. Every problem that you have in your family, of course, ones that are not spiritual, relate to money. If you're having, your wife's car is broken, that involves money. You don't have enough money to put the kids in sports, that has to do with money. So we need to start leading our families. And so, of course, no one's going to have all the answers. No one expects you to have all the answers. But it does mean you need to stop avoiding the conversation. You're going to have that conversation with your wife or with your kids that you don't want to have. I remember when I did it with mine, I'd say, hey, I know we live this lavish lifestyle. We were living in Hawaii. We're trying to do the same thing here in Virginia, etc. We got all this money coming in, but it's being spent elsewhere. And if we had a real emergency, we'd be screwed. So I'm like, I want y'all to think about that. So every time that we're just eating our money away by, going to this restaurant, doing this, doing that, not even keeping track of how much we're spending, realizing like, oh crap, dang, we only got $100 more left for the month. Where do we go? Oh yeah, $2,000 spent eating out, right? We're setting ourselves up for failure, because then if an emergency happens, we're going to have to use our credit card and go into more debt to handle it. And we could do something small by just putting some money to the side and eating out less. Just simple things like that, right? So you got to stop letting your paycheck drift and just doing, your money just going wherever the heck it wants to go. You got to bring structure to the chaos. The military life, we all know it already comes with enough uncertainty. I'm Coast Guard. I mean, good Lord. I know everybody, the TSA and folks were affected by the government shutdown, but while my DOW sisters and brethren were getting paid, we had no idea if we were going to get paid or not. Every time, no one knew. We were just sitting there holding, our breath. Are we going to get paid this time, or are we not going to get paid, right? So, of course, what a lot of people do, they had to go into debt to pay off their debt. Like, put that in perspective. The government stopped paying you. You're not getting paid. These companies, like I said, they make their money by taking your money. So now those exact same companies are saying, hey, you bought this, you still got to pay it. You don't know if you're getting paid. That's going to cause a lot of stress. So a lot of people, they wanted surety. So what they do? They jumped the gun and went and got loans and different things like that. Or they just decided they weren't going to wait and they swiped the credit card and got themselves in more debt. Made their situation even worse. Man, and we all know that we got to deal with these deployments. We're moving. I know a lot of people this year, PCSs, permanent change station, like a lot of them are stressed out because the money that they're supposed to give you, it's behind. So a lot of people are having to, once again, get into more debt to even move. And how is that crazy? The military is the one that's telling you to move. They're supposed to be taking care of you. But because of our stupid politicians, Yeah, I'm saying I don't care. Politicians are stupid, and they don't put us first. They're not in our thought. That's just all propaganda. Oh yeah, we care about the veterans, care about the active duty. No, you don't. You use us as pawns, and I knew it was going to happen for Coast Guard specifically because we're part of DHS, and what better way for people to kind of stop issues that they have with ICE by trying to choke out their funding by choking the entire Department of Homeland Security. And they end up hurting the people that actually take care of them that have nothing to do with ICE, like Coast Guard. But yeah, so we got all these different things we're dealing with. Transitioning. We got family stress because of this. You're gonna have to change schools, get a house, whether you're gonna buy a house, rent, etc. You got to figure out what you're gonna do with these benefits, what you're gonna do with your retirement timelines. I retired next year, so for example, like that's something that's on my forefront on how I'm gonna transition smoothly. And so your money can't be another area of confusion. So it's got to be one of the tools that helps your family feel more secure. And that's what this show is about. This ain't about no hype, no random tips. Step-by-step plans to build wealth, protect what matters, and create freedom. So just a quick note. Everything I share here, of course, is educational in general. Your personal situation matters. Your income, your debt, your family needs, your benefits, timeline, and goals all matter. And that's why the next step is not about guessing, it's about getting clear. So your call to action is I want you to go to the website in the description and grab the Legacy Launch Checklist. It's going to help you identify where your money's going, where the leaks are, and what needs attention first. And once your money has a mission, or you know where your money's going, then you can start leading your family financially with a lot more clarity. So to my military dads, we make way too much money to be feeling stressed out and behind in life. I know a lot of us want to get out and do contract work, but my goal has always been when I want to retire from the military, I want the option that I don't have to work because I don't need the money because I've already built it. And so you're not trying to be stuck. And we're not stuck. So we have time to fix this. Like I said, you got to give your money orders, got to give it a direction, you got to give it a mission. We're here to build wealth, protect assets, create freedom. And I'll see you in the next episode.